Questions. Does Ghana need a new SIM registration exercise? Why should you have to go through this process again when the last exercise promised to be, well, the last? This week on Hot Issues, I interrogate government's latest attempt to collect our biometric data. I am Kemini Amano, and today I sit down with the Director General of the National Communication Authority, the regulator of the telecommunication ecosystem, in his first interview on SIM registration exercise. My guest is Engineer Edmund Irinchi Fianco.
The wait is over. A new world, new stakes. Across Ghana's campuses, the search begins. The faculty is back.
What exactly makes you think you have top or
Reverend, you're welcome to Hot Issues.
Thank you.
This new SIM registration exercise, you say, is meant to fix the shortcomings of the previous exercise. What exactly are we fixing?
Okay, thank you. The last exercise was supposed to ensure that we could confidently identify the individual registering a number. There were 2 stages of verification that were supposed to be done. So the first stage was to verify the card. If the details, primary details like the PIN, as in the Ghana card number, matched with the name of the person and their date of birth. So that was done. However, we couldn't verify that the person who brought the card is the actual owner of the card.
How so?
So I'm saying, so the second stage, which was part of the plan but was not done, was for a biometric verification, which was to now match the face and then the fingerprint. That one, even though the details were captured, they were never compared to what NIA had in their database. So the second phase of the validation did not happen, and for that reason, you cannot tell that the person who brought the card is the actual owner of the card. And in some cases, we also found that some cards were fake, because we had instances here. You were at the press briefing. We showed on one of the slides 2 cards. Date of birth is the same, PIN is the same, the name is the same, but different photos.
Was that a fake ID, or
So
it was
one
just
of
people?
them should be fake. I mean, it's not possible.
Or it could be coincidence
No,
that
it's not possible for the same PIN, because you see, the PIN is a unique identifier.
Okay.
Assuming you both have, assuming by coincidence you have the same name, you should still have different card numbers. But if the card number is the same, it must belong to one person.
Okay.
You get me? So these are things that we discovered from the last registration.
How many of such discoveries did you make?
I'm not, because we haven't done an exhaustive audit. We just took a sample, okay, to check. You know, typically to decide whether to go or not to go, we had to take a sample. So we took a very small sample of 2 million, or a little of 2.3 million registrations, and that's what we found. That even with the facial matches, only 81 of that sample.
Yeah.
You know, when you expand the sample, the percentages could either go down or go up. You get me? It is not a representative sample also because it's very small compared to the total number of registrations that were carried out. So at least that confirmed that there were true issues with the existing database that needed to be cleaned up. And that is the reason why we had to take a holistic look at how to do that.
But the same sample you refer to, you tell us was about 81% successful with facial facial matches,
yes,
right? But not for fingerprints, which is scored 0.
Yeah.
And so if you have the facial match, the concern or the argument people are making is, why then do we have to do it all over again? Because you still have biometric information.
Yeah. So when the last registration started, there was no liveness check. What I mean by that is that the system should also check if it's just a still photo or a real human being who is taking, you know, you get me? Now, along the way, when now we noticed that some, you know, fraud was going on,
right.
That was when the liveness check was introduced in the last process. But mind you, the process had gone almost halfway. You get me? So what it means is that inside the current database are people who may have just registered with their still photo. They themselves may not have, you know, been subjected to the liveness check. So, I mean, we had quite some debate internally. You know, people think that we come out with this thing, but behind the scenes, there's been very hot debates about, you know, why don't we just, because remember, one of the mandates we have in this new process is to ensure that it's convenient. So one of the ways to ensure convenience, like you suggest, was to just limit it to, you know, only those that didn't have the facial match. But then we found that, look, we still have the risk of importing registrations that may still be problematic because those, and we don't have a way of telling which ones were subjected to liveliness check and which ones were not.
Why?
I'm saying that it was introduced along the way. You get me? You start a process, like the very first registration in 2010, 2011, there was no verification of IDs at all until we had gone quite far. So in that case, the registration you have, there were some that you verified. That's why... Which
is what we try to cure.
And do everything again. So the last time, if we had done the biometric verification the last time, because that's one, for example, even if you took a photo, your fingerprints would have still been captured, and then we would have verified against the NIA database.
Okay. So I'll take you up on a few things that you have said. But the former communications minister agrees with you that the second stage was the challenge, the biometric verification.
Not done at all.
Yes, it was a challenge because of concerns with the NIA at the time, right? But then she goes on to say that it did not prevent them from compiling a comprehensive database of all activated SIMs in the country. Now, she says that that database is hosted securely by the National Electronic Transaction Regulator, NITA, in the National Data Center.
Yes.
So the question is, why are we not working with that database?
But well, how do you think we did the sampling that we did? That database is there. We are saying that we are not convinced that there's a single source of truth for the IDs in there for the reasons that I earlier outlined.
No, but that's a fair question you ask me, right? And my response to that will be, if you do you consider the 81% in facial match a success?
I wouldn't want to approach it that way.
Okay.
It's not a function of success or not. It's about.
But we want to know if the data performs.
No, it's the integrity of the database.
Okay.
So you are trying to mitigate risk, okay, of relying on data that is not. The last time when it was done, the former minister that you referenced cited a case where even her own photo, okay, or her own name had been used to register a SIM. That is not hers, okay, which conveys there that we had to cure this. And I'm telling you that in assessing this one, we took a sample, not the entire, it wasn't a census, it was a sample. And we found that
randomly selected sample gave you facial match of 81%. Yeah. You are telling us that was not success, and it tells you that the data. See, hang on. That the data you collected has no integrity.
You see, I haven't said I'm an engineer. Okay. I don't speak in those terms. Okay, I'm just saying that we have found defects.
Okay.
If you are comfortable that, assuming, I mean, like I said, if we expand the sample size, it could either shrink or expand. I mean, we could end up with 70-30. If you are comfortable that you are not sure about 30% of data, it's okay. If you are comfortable. So I'm saying it's not a function it's not a school exam.
I don't think it's a matter of my comfort. It's a matter of why we think that instead of building on what we have already, we should start afresh.
And
the Ghanaian people are trying to understand that.
And I'm explaining to you that, so there are questions that we are answering. We answered question 1.
Right.
Even the last time, there was a question 2 that we didn't answer.
Correct.
And as a result, we have things in the database that we are uncertain of. Okay.
To what extent is the current data flawed?
I've identified the flaws that are in there.
I understand what you're saying.
Number one, you
tell us we have about 40 million active SIMs in our system. You took a sample of 2.3 million.
Yeah. And remember, it's a very small sample.
I absolutely understand. So to what extent do you tell us that that data is flawed to the extent that we need to do the exercise properly and all over again?
I don't know what answer you want, because I've explained to you that the reason I asked for that sampling is because if you want to do an exhaustive test, you have to commit more resources. So this was a simple test just to know. I don't want to just launch into a process without having to assess that what other issues with this one or not. And I found that there are issues. I couldn't answer the question that every registration that we have was presented by the people that actually did it, because that verification did not happen.
The question the Ghanaian people are also asking is that, is the problem so big enough that we couldn't have worked within the score of 81% and the remaining error-ridden ones?
Don't use the word score again. Okay.
Oh, I shouldn't?
No, if you design an engineering system, you would want a certain threshold. Okay. When we design a network, we have availability levels. Okay. We design with numbers of 99%. I mean, because you see, we are talking about millions of numbers. Okay, 1% is a big number. Okay, 1% is a big number.
Right.
So, and remember, the ultimate objective is to have a database that we can rely on, especially for law enforcement, for our common security. The more there are fraud cases that cannot be solved, the less confidence people have in using digital systems. And remember, we are gradually moving into an environment where, digital is going to be our life. So this is at the core of building confidence in the systems that we all use. And because I've had cases, and sometimes you can't find the people, even though the numbers were supposedly to be registered. We have also a problem of the non-classification of corporate numbers. Okay, we were not able to tell that, this number was registered as a corporate number, because even under that, in the central register, because remember, the MNOs maintain their data, and then there's a central register. These are all things that we want to cure. Another thing that we are introducing that wasn't there before, that even if we kept, we didn't intend to replace it, it meant everybody still had to do something, is the introduction of the primary number for people to confirm. Previously, we had an issue of agents and things using other people's IDs to register numbers without their knowledge.
Right.
There has even been a recent court judgment on this issue, because somebody took an operator and the NCA to court that their privacy was breached because their ID was used to register. And I'm saying, if the liveliness check was not carried out, the person has their photo. They could, and those cases happened. So we can't tell which ones in the current register are those cases. And then now what we want to do is that so you register one number. That's the first time you bring your ID for registration. If it's one number, that will become your default primary number.
Okay.
Any other number that will be registered with that ID, an OTP will be sent to that primary number for you to confirm that this ID, you permit this ID to be used for that registration. You get me?
Absolutely. So is there not a system that already deals with that currently? The short code where you can put in your details?
So that details. One is after the fact.
After the fact.
That one, you can only check what has already been registered with that ID.
And that's not good enough.
And I'm saying that happened along the way. You see, we had already carried out the registration to some point before we noticed this was happening. And then we said, okay, let's find a way for you to check what numbers have been registered. But now with this new one we are doing, so there may be some existing, not everybody knows all their numbers, what is in their different devices, those who use multiple devices. So if we do it all at once, all new, then it means that now you can be confident. And we are saying that it places liability on you. And the reason when it actually commences will intensify education to encourage people, don't register for somebody, because now, because you have to give your consent for your ID to be used to register any other number apart from the first one, then you cannot deny if, let's say, there's an issue, because there have been cases where somebody has been arrested and they have no idea.
Means you have given the authority now.
Exactly. Now you have consented by that receiving the OTP and you know, using that OTP for the registration of the new number. You have consented on account of that this ID should be used to register these additional numbers. The first time, it was after the fact.
So clearly, there are additional processes and secure processes, so to speak, in this new exercise to enhance the security of
make it more confident that then this number is actually belonging to this person.
Right now, when I go to buy a SIM card, it would appear that I go through some of this process. They take my palm, they do the liveliness check while I'm sitting there. And so if someone tells you that a lot of this is already going on,
it's going
what would be your response to that?
Because, I mean, we still need some, the telco needs to know who you are. I mean, even without a mandatory requirement, pre-2010, they themselves had voluntarily started registering, because it is important for their business to know. And especially when mobile money came up, it was like a bank account. It is like a bank account, and you need to know who, because it is the confidence in these things when the registration is robust that, you know, products like loans, etc., because now we know who we are dealing with. But when there are fraudulent registrations, there's risk on both sides, because they can't find you if you default or something, because we don't even know that you are the real person behind the number. So if the telcos are already able to do this thing that you have described, why do we need a third party to come in the fray for the mass exercise? So it is because of the central register. So everybody does their own. But what it meant is that if somebody did something here, you can't ensure that you've dealt with that person across all networks.
So it is because government wants to own the data?
Well, I wouldn't say government wants to own the data, but it is important. The industry itself agrees that it is helpful to have that central database, which is one of the things that the LI is providing for now.
Right now, when the telcos collect the data, does it not feed into the central database?
Yeah, today it is, but I'm saying that's the one that we are trying to clean up with this new process.
No, my question is not around the cleanup. My question is the involvement of a third party at this point, right? Because
the telcos use third parties. Everybody uses. No, if you want to have a solution.
What we'll be doing now for the mass exercise is to have a single third party.
No.
Or how many third parties do you plan to use?
Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you. So there's also a third party in what was done the last time.
Absolutely.
it is what that person does is to be the one providing the platform. So somebody has to develop the platform to technically implement all the rules we are writing down, and to ensure that all the processes we have outlined are seamlessly being carried out. So somebody has to build an application, you know, etc. It is that developer who is what everybody is calling
referring to
the
as
third party. I'm saying that if any MNO is doing that themselves, most likely, I mean, if you have in-house development capacity to do everything speedily, you wouldn't outsource. But most of them, the apps that you are using on different platforms, they have you don't have to know who the person is. You get me? But I mean, the standard corporate practice that you will commission somebody to provide you a service.
What is it that a third party will do that the NCA cannot instruct the telcos to do because they have already started
so
the process?
So I'm saying that it's a central platform that doesn't belong to any one of them. Would you want? I don't know if you
what I have also asked you is whether or not whatever they do with the numbers they give out feeds into our central system. You said yes.
No, say again.
When the telcos take that data from us, the customers, we're buying SIMs.
So I'm saying today, what they are doing is it's not.
It doesn't feed into a central system.
When you go and register, the application they are using is not theirs.
It's not theirs.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what they will be using in the mass registration exercise will belong to the state.
Yes.
Okay.
The database will belong to the state.
Perfect. So what I'm saying is that, what is it that the third party will do that the NCA cannot instruct the telcos, bring us the data, we want to own the data now? What stops you from doing that?
I don't see, I really don't understand your question, because I'm saying somebody has to develop the application that will
but
be
we
used.
had an app last time. The Kelny DVD
how
app.
well did it?
We can't build on the Kelny DVD app. Do we have to buy a new app?
So, I mean, it's a policy question that has to be answered. All I'm saying is that that's not a decision that the NCA is going to make. That's a decision.
What would you propose? Should we go for a new app?
I'm saying that we need to solve the current challenge that we have, okay? And that requires that we have to develop a platform to do that. Another process will be carried out to, you know, determine who, based on their qualification, their experience. If the process is carried out and the existing player is able to demonstrate that they have the superior solution to address everything, why not? But I'm saying that's a process that will be managed by the Ministry of Communications, not the NCA.
Wouldn't it be easier if we were following the route of...
Can I answer questions that I am supposed to answer for the NCA?
No, and that's what I'm asking you, because you're the regulator in the industry, right? And you have oversight on the telcos. The data they collect not only feeds into yours, it feeds into our national data center as well. And so
the data center is a center, okay, with a lot of racks, okay, and servers. So when we say something is at a data center, it means that somebody has loaded, and either, I mean, they may have a service that you can rent, or you can also send your own server, and the database will sit on that server. The data center is real estate. It's not the active thing. I don't know if you get me. They are providing power, ensuring that it doesn't go down, etc. It's not like a place where, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to explain.
I get what you're trying to explain, but then it begs the question whether or not you're telling us, the Ghanaian people, that the NCA, our national data center, you do not have the capacity to undertake this exercise without the third party.
There are many data centers in Ghana. I'm saying data center business is real estate. Whatever you put on your server in the database, in the data center, is like the banks, they are using the data center. The telcos some of them have their own data centers. I don't know if you get me. So it is not about, that is just the physical place where the thing is. But the platform, okay, you have to design it with the required fields, etc. Build the integration between the NIA and your platform so that these things happen. So what you go and do and happens in a few seconds, there is something behind that is making all that happen. And I'm saying somebody must build it. And
which is what the third party will do.
Exactly. But then that person must be selected through. So normally what we would determine is the technical requirements. Okay, we want the system to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. and the person who does it must be able to deliver A, B, C, D, E. Then we say, okay, whatever procurement method that the ministry will determine to deploy is to ensure that these people, whoever is part of that process, one has the qualification to be able to deliver that, and two, demonstrates by their submission that they are able to do it within the time that is required.
So yes or no, the NCA right now does not have the capacity to be able to do that?
No.
You don't.
The number of developers we have in-house and the work that they are doing today, we cannot saddle them with that additional duty.
A few things that you plan to do under the new exercise. You want to cap the number of SIM cards that each person has or is able to acquire. What's the thinking behind that?
Okay, so that's also being discussed. The reason is that the people who are committing fraud, they are a bit, you see, if you get a SIM and it's blocked, but you know you can keep getting more, I mean, it doesn't constrain you. We want to constrain the bad people, okay, by putting a cap, so that now if you have to, go beyond that, you have to have, go through additional processes before you can exceed that number. So it's important that, all well-meaning people who are interested in this process, right now, the LI is yet to go to Parliament. All these things are things that are being discussed among the stakeholders. Okay, why 10? Why not 5? Why not 11? Why? I mean, you get me.
Or why not uncap it?
Why not? But I mean, that was the situation before. The last process, it was announced that the cap was 10. But in the central register, it was not enforced. Okay, so a telco will cap at 10. But it means that you could get 10, 10, 10. That is 30. You get me? But if it is being controlled from the central register, then when you hit 10 across board, yeah, but I'm saying that that is something that is being discussed. I don't know what we'll finally settle on. Okay, we are still awaiting a feedback from stakeholders on the current draft of the LI, and we are taking our time because we want to do it right. We don't want to rush it. Because I've told the team that, look, if we don't get it right this time, then it's a total failure. I try to stay away from passing judgment. People try, when you are in leadership, people try to do the best they can do within the constraints at the time. Okay, we are trying to do our best within the current constraints, and because we have the benefit of hindsight, we have the benefit of lessons from two processes, we don't have an excuse not to get it right. And one of the lessons we have learned from the past experiences is, you see, if you limit consultations, you are likely to encounter challenges. That is why, this announcement has been made because the policy decision has been made. But the actual implementation, we are taking our time. As much as we want to do it quickly, we are making sure that, we find a fine balance between, the rapid deployment and the accuracy. And the first thing we want to get right is the enabling legislation. And that is why we started from last year to revise the LI. We extended the time for comments. Okay, we have had an engaged stakeholder workshop with the people that sent comments. We have given them time again to have a second look at the updated draft. And we will take the comments. If it requires us to engage again, we will. If we see that there is more or less agreement around all the pending thorny issues, then we'll move it forward. So the way it works is that the NCA will then send a recommendation, a policy recommendation to the ministry. Then they will now have their final review of it, work with the Attorney General, and then lay it in Parliament. And it's likely we may miss this sitting of Parliament. We may lay it when Parliament resumes. Again. And then it has to be there for about 21 days. Okay, before we lay in Parliament, also we have to engage the Parliamentary Select Committee on Communications, the Subsidiary Legislation Committee in Parliament. So it's stakeholder engagement at different levels, just to ensure that by the time the law is passed, we have the framework to be able to do this and get it right.
Right. So tell me, top of the agenda for this new exercise is convenience.
Yes.
And we have been told that we can use our smartphones from the comfort or from
it's
our
a requirement, yeah.
Absolutely. That appeared to have been the idea for the GH SIM registration app as well, which was run by Kelny GVG. What is the status of that app today?
I can't answer that. We are not right now. The registration is being done by the MNOs. When I came in, became Director General, there was even a rift between. I won't say a rift. There's a contractual issue between the MNOs and Kelme GVG, which I've recently been able to mediate, so that to solve historical commercial issues between the parties.
What do you mean by historical commercial issues?
Because I mean, somebody wasn't getting paid.
Kelme GVG wasn't getting paid.
But I mean, it's now.
You have paid them now.
We are not supposed to pay them. I'm saying it's between
the MNOs
the parties. Yeah, but
right.
There was a dispute in terms of certain agreements and how expectations were at the time. But we now have a resolution. I prefer it's a commercial issue between them.
Who owns that app today?
It's the platform provider.
The platform provider owns it.
Yeah.
It means that if the platform provider does not make it available for this exercise, you can't use it.
We don't need that. I'm saying that we intend to deploy.
But tell me why you don't need it. Because you are deploying another app or maybe another system that is very similar to that one, which we have paid for, right?
Nobody. I'm saying that they have paid for the use.
For the use,
it's just like you license, you use it and then you pay for it.
Subscriptions.
Well, we call it that.
Okay. So the subscription has expired, which means that we don't use that anymore.
I wouldn't say that. I'm saying that. So we are just selecting somebody to provide a service. Let me give you a parallel, something that will let you appreciate. There's a company called Porting Access. You know about mobile number portability? Okay. So now we decided some years ago in 2011 or before that to do, to enable consumers to be able to carry their number even when they decide to change networks. Because, I mean, the number had become your identity. And if you are not happy with the service provider and you will change the network and it will result in you losing that number that maybe your customers, your friends know, it will become a problem. So regulatory decision that let's give the numbers, let's make the numbers portable, meaning you can carry it from your network to the next network. But we need a platform to be able to allow this porting to happen seamlessly. You could have a manual system where you go here, fill a form, then you go to the next one. I don't know, it could take days. But we decided that, and so we selected a vendor. We now determine what are the requirements, and then which companies can provide this. People put in bids, and then we select who has the capacity based on their experience and their approach to the problem we want to solve. And then we selected Porting Access. So they are providing a service for the industry. Okay, so when you go to you're on one network A, and you want to port to network B, which the rule is that don't go to your existing network. They may either dissuade you from leaving or frustrate you. Go to the new one. And when you go there, what the MNO will use to make the request to transfer that number, so that when somebody calls the number, the routing will come to the new network. That management is being done by an independent entity. And there's also a framework. I also had to come in and mediate late last year based on, so I'm saying these are standard occurrences in there, because now the market thought that at the beginning, what they all agreed on at the beginning, because the porting rates have dropped, they think that the fixed fees are too high. So I came in, called everybody out. You see, the answers come from all of us. It's just what we do is to provide the guidance, the direction, and to mediate and ensure that everybody is being fair. Our job as a referee is to ensure that everybody is playing fair. And that is what we did also with this particular case. So the use of third parties, I'm telling you that it's nothing strange, especially when you have multiple operators. You wouldn't want to commission one of them and to do something for everybody. I don't know if you get me. So you would want a neutral entity to do that on behalf. So we are not paid. So our job is to select the entity to provide it. But once that is done, the entity provides the solution, and then based on the commercial agreements that they will sign with the players.
Let me see if I understand you. We need a new app which will make the registration
I prefer you call it a platform.
Okay, we need
the
a
app
new system.
Is a part, is one of the components of the platform.
Right, so we need a new platform. that will make it convenient for users
Yes.
to navigate the ecosystem of telecommunication in this country on the user end. But at the same time, the previous app that we were using cannot provide that
So
system
we are
for
saying
you.
that there are problems with the database as we have it. The methodology or the processes that you see, it's not the fault of the developer per se.
Okay.
It is, you know, there's instructions that they were given. Okay, based on which they have done what they have done. And I'm saying because we want to replace it, okay, we are opening up a new process.
You see, I understand all that too. I think my question is that why we want to replace it. And so when I try to recap what you're saying, it's because I want to understand the why.
Okay.
It's because the current app cannot do what you require today.
It is not doing it.
It is
Some
not
of the
even
things
doing
that
it.
we want to do, it is not currently doing it.
Wonderful. We'll take a break. When we come back, let's look at how you are connecting this to dealing with fraud, dealing with SIM swapping and the likes. We'll be right back. Don't go away. My guest on Hot Issues is Engineer Edmond Yurinchi Fianco. He is the Director General of the National Communications Authority. Again, Reverend, thank you so much for your time today. I want to talk about the linkages once you have the consumer data. You say that you even link it to the device the person is using. The question about surveillance control and privacy protection comes into play. How do you assure the Ghanaian people or the Ghanaian public that this is not about control, that this is not about surveillance?
Okay, I'm a mobile user. Okay, I wouldn't build a system that I think will also create problems for me. I wouldn't be in this position forever. You understand? So I wouldn't build a solution that will hurt me or my family tomorrow. We are working closely with the Data Protection Commission, which is the statutory body to ensure the protection of data and how data is processed and managed. So, and the LI itself is also building in safeguards for cybersecurity, data protection, etc. So it's going to be a very ethical process. And I am not aware of any attempt to use this for any, I don't know what the right word is, anything that would hurt or intrude on the privacy of people or to, do anything that we haven't communicated. The primary objective is identification, a proper identification of users of numbers, understanding that these numbers today have become, things that are linked to many other things that we do.
But we cannot deny that it creates a fertile ground for surveillance. And so how will the NCA ensure that the data collected is protected?
So you see, the LI is also putting in processes for anybody, including national security, cyber security authority. You need a court order to be able to access. So let's say the police and that's happening today. The police or CID are investigating somebody. They don't have a direct access to the system. You get me? So they have to obtain a court order served on us before we can authorize whoever to release the data.
How is this different from the current Central Equipment Identity Register?
There is no Central Equipment Identity Register today.
At all?
No.
We don't have an attempt. Okay.
There was an attempt under the last process to build one. Okay, only one MNO, okay, connected to it and was submitting a triplet. So, I mean, it's not a central register. And there were some MNOs that even had a challenge with their own EIRs. We are trying to ensure that this time we address all that. So when you say something is central, it means that everybody's data in the we don't have it.
And right
I
now,
heard it somewhere that somebody said that every MNO is supposed to have an EIR.
Okay.
What we are talking about is a CEIR, the central one. And I can say that on authority, that there's nothing like that in operations today.
At the moment.
Even though it was conceived and an attempt was made, you know, there were some trials that were done, but we couldn't reach the point where we can say, okay, we have this, and that can be used for that purpose.
The issue of what then will happen to the flawed data at the data center now has come up. What would you do with it?
So we'll have a transition period. Okay. Like I said, we have been quite reserved because we are not yet at the point where we are ready to announce a start date. But before we announce a start date, we will also be clear about the transition provisions. Okay, and those are provisions that will ensure that, one, there is no data loss, and then number two, whatever data has already been collected is properly processed. Okay, and you know, if once we complete the new exercise, because you want to complete the new exercise first with the platform will be ready for new registrations, and then now all the existing registrations, we have to take the people through, you know, and ensure that now we have covered, you know, the numbers that we need to cover. Okay, and that transitional provision will deal with how we treat what used to exist.
I see. Cost is also another question that has been raised. Fairly recently, we've learned that the MNOs will bear the cost of this exercise. But the MNOs say that they have no idea, you know.
So like I mentioned, we are still in early days.
Okay.
The policy decision has been made, as the minister has announced. We are working on a legislative framework. The next phase is to now go through, agree on the technical specifications, and then select the platform provider, whoever the platform provider would be. Then as part of that process, when, you know, and it's a standard process in these technical services. So they will now say, okay, to provide you this solution, because they will have to use certain assumptions that, okay, we have to process this number of data over this period of time, and these are the resources we need to do that, and this will be our cost. Okay, and then we will negotiate at that point. Because we are not there, I can't comment on, you know, what it will cost.
How it's going
and
to
the MNOs will be involved. In fact, they know from the historic, like I've given you the example of mobile number portability, even the past, this KWM platform that is being used, there's also, whenever there is a...
So just so we understand the issue of costing, there will be no taxpayer CDs in this exercise?
No.
At all? The taxpayer will
listen,
not bear any cost?
We, as the NCA, we have a mandate in this, apart from our regular work of providing regulation, we also do consumer education. Okay, if you know, we put together an infomercial or and we bring it to TV3, you will require us to pay something. That's how you make money. Okay,
right.
And national processes. Okay, the state also spends on all of you. We will work with GIBA, we'll work with GBC. Airtime is not free. You get me? I'm sure you will run some adverts on this.
So there will be some administrative costs from the NCA.
And I'm saying these are standard
But the exercise itself, the system that you're building.
No, that one we will not be paying. Like, and I've given you examples. Like we did number portability. Not the regulator didn't pay anything. The state didn't pay anything.
The state will not pay
became a service. What we do is to select the person providing that independent service to the players in the market.
So how do we know? How do we know that this will not end up as the Kelney GVG case when we ended up paying 5 CDs for the use of the app?
Okay, I don't know how to convince you, but
no, but you have to assure the Ghanaian people, because we've heard this before.
That's the assurance.
That the Ghanaian people will not bear any cost.
It will become a service that
not for the convenience of registration even.
No, that's not what it is for. Because remember, part of the convenience is not to inconvenience you by asking you to make a payment.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
But there are those who have argued that, look, if the MNOs take it, then what we are going to see is that it will indirectly come back to the consumers in other ways.
You see, the issue I told you I recently mediated, it was because the last time they wanted to pass it on by increasing the cost of the SIM card, and the NCA said no. And that is why the matter, they hit a stalemate, and it wasn't resolved until the matter came to my attention, and then we mediated and had a solution. And I mean, right now they are processing it. And in the same manner, we have laid down the ground rules. So when we say that there will be no direct cost to the consumer, it is one of the boundaries for negotiation. That if I'm an MNO and I can't pass it on, it has to be a number I can absorb as part of my operational cost. You get me? So it will all form part of the negotiations. I don't want to preempt anything. I don't want to throw in anything because, I mean, the outcome will be the function of engagements of different people around the table. Okay, so today, if anybody mentions a number to you, it will be a figment of their own imagination.
Right.
You get me?
I want to talk about the aspect on security, particularly to do with mobile money. We say that this will help us fix that problem to a large extent. But the current situation we have at hand, why are the telcos not sanctioned for some of the role that they play in this?
What role do they play?
I mean, how do those people end up going into the system, getting people's numbers, going into people's phones, sometimes even without having to call you? Okay,
so we are not aware.
How are they even not able to help you track them?
We are not aware of a system breach that has resulted in any fraudulent case. From where I sit, we get complaints. People bring complaints, and then we demand investigations into the complaints. And there has been no case yet that will show that this person lost their money. In each case, there has been the involvement of the person. Okay, either because they give their PIN or they give up an OTP, or they give. I mean, in all the cases,
they played a role.
Exactly. So the social engineering games, and let's take advantage of this program to tell people to be cautious. People would exploit. They are smart. They will exploit our social vulnerabilities. Like one of the stories that one of my consumer people told that now somebody took over her in-laws' WhatsApp account and then sent messages to a number of people.
But
if I can, I said, let's take the opportunity just to...
Oh, it is part of it, because there are those who believe that, look, some of these people are working with people inside the telcos.
Okay, so that's why I'm saying that we need to prove that.
Okay.
We need to prove that. And part of the LI that we have is also to put some liabilities that under certain... So, I mean, these things are well discussed, that when should a liability to be placed on the telco and when is it on the individual. Yeah. One of the complaints that medical doctor sent recently, and let me say that the public must know that the NCA is not the regulator for mobile money. It is a digital financial service regulated by the Bank of Ghana.
But all the complaints come to you?
All the complaints come to, even if they don't pay fees to me, at least not yet. I'm thinking about that. But I mean, because we know because they came out of, and legally they are distinct companies now. Okay, but because they came out of the MNOs, everybody, refers. And I mean, we don't discount them. We still, request for investigations, and we seek, redress on their behalf.
But this new system or new registration that we want to do, we hope it cures this. How
so I'm saying that the only problem that will solve, it doesn't solve the social engineering
part.
What it does is that should it happen, unfortunately, we can now tell that this is the true identity of the person. We have had cases where somebody has been arrested, and you can find from interrogation that, one, they don't own the number, as in they don't have the number, it's not in their possession. And then number two, they have no idea about what has happened. But then their ID was used to register the number. That is the problem we want to solve with this. That's the process we are designing now. If your ID is actually linked to that number, you can't claim not to know. And I mean, if you are now held liable, you don't have any legal loophole to, to escape. Right. And what that is going to do is that, it means that if we find that the number was actually used for a fraudulent case, then that individual indeed wouldn't have a defense, and hopefully they can be successfully prosecuted.
I see. Does the NCA consider that it's expensive to make calls and use data in this country?
It's a relative term when you say expensive. The industry is providing a very valuable service, and behind that service that we are all using is a lot of investments. And to keep the investments going, then we must be able to pay rates that can sustain the investments into the market. Last year, working with the minister in the industry, and based mainly on the improvements in the macroeconomic environment, we were able to get some, improved data bundles for the people of Ghana. I wouldn't, if I'm a consumer also, we would like to pay as little as possible. Okay, when I put on my regulatory hat, my job is a balancing act. The balance between, affordability and fairness in pricing, and also a reasonable return on investments, because that is the only way we can maintain the service and keep improving it. And so today, our assessment, we don't have a reason to intervene in the tariff structure that is at play. In fact, there have even been calls in certain instances that maybe we need to tweak certain things, because let me explain.
In tweaking, what does that mean?
No, I'm saying there have been calls, but I mean we have quelled some of those calls.
In tweaking, as in increase.
Let me explain to you. Every time a site is up, okay, and you run a broadcasting station, every time for the terrestrial network, every time your station is up, there's a site that is up, okay, it's consuming electricity. So every time electricity tariffs increase, every service provider, be it a broadcaster or a telecom provider, their costs has gone up. The second thing is that on every site, we will have, because when ECG goes off, the grid power goes off, we can't say that, oh, a doom light, the phone is to call off. We expect to call. Even how to complain to ECG, you will need a phone. You will. So we will have a battery bank that would hold the sites for the period that the power is off, and then transfer it to a genset, which uses fuel. You get me? Yeah. Every time fuel prices go up, the operational costs also goes up. And I'm saying that all these inputs, okay, they are trying to do, make a number of the sites green, build solar. We don't have a special dispensation on green energy.
But that's the balance between what we are paying and return on investment.
Exactly.
But what about the balance between what we pay and quality? What would the NCA say?
So quality is also a function of the investments into the network. And what we've been doing with the network, one, at the beginning of this year, we have communicated to them that we are making the requirements more stringent than before. So in the past, parameters like call drop rate was 3%. What it meant was that the networks were allowed to let 3% of all calls drop. And you see, we are talking about millions of minutes of calls. That was the old threshold. Yeah. We have reduced it to 1%, meaning that now fewer calls must drop.
Do you find that fewer calls are dropping?
I'm saying that is the requirement.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm an engineer. the way these things work is that you have a requirement and then you dimension your network to deliver. So if you sign a contract, let me use an example you can appreciate. If you sign a contract and you say you have a network reliability or availability should be, say, 99%, it means that 1% of the time it can fail and it's okay. If you reduce it to 95%, it means that, or 97%, it means that 3% of the time it can fail. What this says is that because the requirement has changed, they have to put in more resources to make sure. It means capacity on some sites where they see that this site is often congested. I will fail before it was passing because it was 3%. Now, if I want to pass, I have to increase some resources on this site to make sure that I can process more calls without them failing,
Right.
so that I can meet the requirement. So once we signal, the reasonable thing to do is to give them some time for them to now begin to conform to the new
How
requirement.
much time did you give them?
So what we've communicated is that first quarter measurement is going to be baseline. We won't sanction anybody, even if you don't meet the new one.
You've had 2 first quarters already, so which one are we talking about?
This is first quarter. It
Yes,
ends,
no, but you had a first quarter in 2025 as well. That's why I wanted to
we
clarify.
communicated this year.
This year.
These new parameters are this year.
This year, okay.
Yeah. You know, we released a statement, I think in February.
Okay.
Yeah, early February. We announced that these are now in force.
Okay.
Okay, and it's a number of requirements. So this is one of them. Before, we didn't have a requirement for call connection success rate. It didn't exist at all. So if you call and it doesn't connect, there's no measure.
I see.
Okay, now we have introduced a new measure that, you know, a certain percent, 95% of calls must connect.
Must connect.
Okay,
and
so
you say you're giving them up to when to be able to comply?
So now it's in force, but we are saying that we won't sanction because
Okay.
we understand how things work. So first quarter we'll carry out our regular measurements, but we won't sanction. What we do is that we will share the data with them, what we find, and then by third quarter, meaning that they've had about 6 months to be able to work on this. You get me? Then now that it will be more stricter in terms of now when you fail, you have to answer for it. Our inclination, you know, maybe it may excite people that we have because most of them are fines. Okay?
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily. That is not objective. Is not to raise revenue from fining people. Our objective is to drive them to improve the service.
So efficiency.
So in some cases, we can understand why maybe a certain problem occurred. For example, and the public needs to know that fiber cuts affect network quality, especially data services, a lot. Because all the single sites, for it to be a network, every single site is linked. So whatever is happening here must be transmitted, you know, to the network. Okay, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. So if a fiber is linking this site and it is cut, it disconnects the site.
Absolutely.
In engineering design, we have redundancy. There will be a microwave radio that will do it, but then the capacity of the radio is smaller compared to the capacity of the fiber.
that one.
So what it means is that it will have an impact on the traffic routing from that site. We try to build this in rings, but sometimes the cuts happen. There's cut here, and you don't have anywhere to route it.
Yeah.
So if assuming there was a service deterioration, but it was because of something they couldn't control.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do we mitigate that, the cutting? Because
Exactly.
we experienced that last year.
It's the biggest. I mean, it's the biggest concern the industry has, because it's also a cost issue because they have to go and repair it, and a lot of the road construction that is going on is, you know, we want the roads, but it has to be done in an orderly way. We have maps. When they go for right of way, they are, because we have maps that we've been that are available. There are some roads that were done very well. I remember when the N1 construction was going on, there was good consultations. Some MNOs have to go and relocate their cables. So when that is done orderly, it doesn't result in service deterioration. And we want to encourage all our other stakeholders, highways authority, urban roads, feeder roads, that the contractors should be sensitized. In the review of our current legislation, we want to make it punishable for somebody to cut any electronic communications system.
Anywhere at all.
Yeah.
What's happened to Ghana's efforts towards 5G?
I don't know what you mean.
Do we have 5G now?
Commercially, no.
So what's happened with all
So
our efforts towards...
a wholesale provider was licensed to provide a wholesale service to the MNOs.
Okay.
Recently, they have lighted some sites. They've tested them. What is left on that one, okay, is for the MNOs to complete their own integration into that one and make it commercially available. On the back of that, we are also working on introducing competition into that space. We think that a competition will enhance both the speed and the widespread availability and increase the investment into that sector.
Reverend, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
It's a shame this is all the time we have. It came so quickly, but I appreciate your time with us.
My pleasure.
Reverend Engineer Edmond Rienchi Fianco is the Director General of the National Communications Authority. There are parts of this interview that we cannot air in the 50 minutes we have on television, but you find a full version on our YouTube channel or on all our other socials. Log on and then watch the full version of this interview. It's Hot Issues. I'm Kamini Amano. Bye-bye.